and welcome back to another Agatebay cutting video. Today I have something really exciting. I have old stock pieces from the Manea location in Patagonia in Argentina. It is super rare to get to see any of this material. They have been mined decades ago, I believe. The nodules I have here, they're almost all complete. They only show very little windows with very little indications of what can be inside. A lot of these agates, they have like some sort of sedimentation, like membrane fragmented structures at the bottom of the nodule. So I would assume this rough part here would be the bottom of the nodule of this specimen, and then the more round shaped part is often the area where the agate is concentrating. So in order to get both the membrane structures and the agate, I would always cut it this way and not for the biggest face. Other than that, you could cut it like this, but then you have to move more towards the side of the piece to get more of the agate banding, because if you cut in the fragmented membrane section at the bottom of the nodule, then you will probably not get any orbicular agate banding at all. And we will now reveal each of the surprises that each of the nodules has kept as their secret. I think we're just gonna start with this one, where I've been explaining with the membrane curls, and I will be cutting it right with the membrane at the bottom and then the agate layer on top, and hopefully give you a good example of what these can look like. Oh no. So the piece turned out pretty exactly what I thought it would look like. So you can see here in the bottom area it has these fragmented membrane curls or carbonate sedimentation or inclusions, and on top it has the nice fortified banding. Sometimes you can actually really see these with these tiny harsh circles, like the spherulites sitting on top of the banding. That's another really classic indication for the agates from this location. I also really enjoy the combined structure of the inclusions at the bottom and the fortified banding on top here. Next one up is this piece. It has no windows that I need to take care of, but it also seems like this might be the bottom part of the nodule with the inclusions, and I will try to cut it through the highest peak where probably most of the agate banding is concentrating. So I will cut it right in this angle and put it in my saw blade like this, because that's a faster way of cutting it than if I put it in the saw like this, and I also have a better grip if I cut it like this. This piece turned out a little different from what I thought. It actually has no fortification banding on top, but is still a pretty interesting piece with all these layers and inclusions just swimming or almost frozen in the clear chalcedony. So a very different specimen. I still kind of like it. So it's just a very interesting, cool piece. A lot of these nodules have really cool and interesting shapes. I mean, just look at how this nodule formed, and then this little bubble on top here. It seems like there will be membrane inclusions up to this layer from what I can see, and probably just fortification agate at the very top, but I can see some really nice yellow bands peeking through, and yellow I haven't seen much of in these agates yet. So I will also try to cut through both the membrane area and the fortification on top, and I will do that by just placing a cut right across here. It kind of also remembers me like of a toad that's like sitting on a rock or something, but maybe just my imagination going through with me right now. So I think it's a really fantastic piece. The chromatography is insane. It has no fractures, great banding at the bottom here as well. So I think this is a stunning piece, and it really resembles the condor agates, which are found hundreds of miles away from this location, but with the chromatography from the yellow that I've been seeing peeking through up here in combination with this kind of greenish brown agate, really looks a lot like a condor agate, except the difference with this membrane section down here but I think it's a really fantastic piece. Flawless, beautiful colors, chromatography, really classic and fantastic piece for the location. Not much to see in this nodule yet. I only discovered one little window up top here where there's some red banding peeking through, as well as a tiny little quartz center as well. I think I will not cut it for the biggest face because I think it may have a really large quartz center, and if I cut it this way the quartz center will actually be a lot smaller in comparison to the size of the nodule and the banding that it has. So I think I will probably go for a cut like this. Also it will be a nice symmetrical face as well. So I think that's the best way to go with this one. It has some great saturated red banding in combination with the orange floater that sets the agate in the center apart from the quartz and the red agate surrounding the entire piece. It does have a little bit of the inclusions at the bottom as well, but also a little bit of the fractures here on the side of the specimen. So this will not be a very high quality or expensive piece, I would sell. So this may also end up at a very affordable price on my website. This is the second last piece and a very interesting nodule. I can see two tiny windows, one over here on this side and the other one actually on the other side of the piece. Both seem to have some sort of fortification banding. Here I can see a couple fractures, which I hope will not go through the stone, but of course agates do have some fractures. It's a really nice round nodule, so I think I will just go for a cut in between the two windows and really just cut it for the biggest face in this case. So once across this bubble down here and then all the way across here, across this bubble, and then go right through here again, and then have two evenly big agate halves of this piece.
Oh, wow.
It might have a little bit of the sedimentation here at the bottom of the nodule, and it actually did, but it turned out to be a fantastic piece. Look at the colors, it has no flaws, it's loaded with all the details, with the platelets and the banding, and if you look really closely in this section you can even spot a little bit of parallax as I'm moving around. I hope you can see it. And I think that's really just a gorgeous piece. In the other half as well, it's got a little bit of the parallax. And if this is photographed in a really good way, then you can see all of the details. And with these platelets and red and yellow colors, this actually reminds me a little bit of the Apache agates from Mexico. But I think it is a gorgeous piece and I like it a lot. I have different thoughts on this piece, and I think this can turn out to be a really nice nodule. I can see it's got a nice window here with a red peeking through. That looks really intense. It seems to have a fracture, but probably I cannot avoid all of the fractures in this piece. It's got a little bit of a window here which does not show a lot of banding, and another tiny little window here where I can see a little bit of banding. I either have the choice to cut it like this for a more round and symmetrical pattern, but I think I will go for the longer cut just to catch more of the interesting parts that this nodule may have inside. So I will cut right next to this window, across here, right next to this window, and then right through the center down here to come back out next to this window. This is the last piece of the Manea agates I've been cutting, and it turned out great. It's got some really intense red color, more agate than I was expecting, and yeah, it also has a little bit of a calcite inclusion, as you can see in both halves, which I have actually seen quite often in these agates before. I was surprised that I didn't cut more pieces with the calcite centers, but in this one you can see a pretty nice reflection. I think it's a pretty solid agate. Overall, I'm very happy with the result of pieces I've been cutting. The two pieces here in the corner, I feel like they're not quite good enough for me to sell them retail, but all the other pieces, I think they're so interesting to see with the colors or inclusions, like in this one. This one's really just a perfect piece. Also this one's so amazing with all the details going on in the specimen and with the parallax right here. I think these two pairs, those are my favorites, but also the big one I think doesn't have to be shy. If you would like to get some of these agates yourself, then go to my website, check it out right now, because these pieces are available probably at the minute that you're watching this video. Subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss any future content of mine, and then I'll see you in the next video.